So there was a coup in Russia, or
Yep.
kind of a coup.
There was like a half coup for a day where the Wagner group was semi sorta, but really was turning against Russia. You know, the big military company that Russia has been using for the war. And this man right here, I don't know how to say his name. It starts with a
Prigozhin.
P. Huh?
Prigozhin.
Prigozhin.
Yeah.
He came out saying the war is a lie. NATO expansion reason was bogus. Long, like to show you a lot of Bakhmut. Yeah, it was crazy.
He is
You know.
a quite a character.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you a little bit about him so we don't dwell on him for too long. But basically, he was constantly bitching to the MOD, which is essentially the Russian Pentagon.
Mm.
Uh, Basically saying, send us more ammunition, send us more bombs. Um, as far as I know, he was getting about the same as every other unit in the Russian military.
Yeah.
But he was real good about it. He had a good PR strategy. He showed the dead bodies of his Wagner soldiers.
Yeah,
Like,
the dude knew how to
piles
play
of them.
politics.
Piles of them. In fact, if the statistics are to be believed, they lost at least 20% of their fighters at Bakhmut alone. They recruited 10,000 prisoners. That means at least 2,000 of them are dead now.
Mm.
Not long after recruitment. So these men were promised freedom and were killed. So
And then he went up and told the Ministry of Defense they're a bunch of fucking cucks.
yeah, he
You know?
did. He really did. And then waved his penis in Putin's face and then left the country.
And the fact that Putin came out also denouncing, what was his name again? POJ?
Prigozhin. Russian
Prigozhin.
names are hard. Russian names are hard.
They are hard. They go hard.
I've heard Prigozhin said so many times. That's why he comes up a lot.
I don't know why I was even because of POJ. I don't know. But yeah, and the fact that he's not assassinated dead in a fucking the middle of Serbia. You know, the fact that you can go out and basically say "fuck you" to the Ministry of Defense. You know how many journalists have died for lesser shit? You know, like in Russia, like where your leading cause of death is like falling. Yeah, like Russia not doing anything serious in terms of punishment or repercussions for this is it looks ridiculous. It makes it feel almost fake.
It's
The
fishy.
fact that it just shows that they're like a huge paper tiger. Emperor has no clothes.
That's what we hope, and that this
That's what
isn't
we.
a type of
Yeah, it could be a misinformation campaign where they're like, "Hey, Ukraine, time to go in and do the counteroffensive."
or maybe this is a way for them to reposition their troops in Belarus
Yeah,
for another a counteroffensive into North Ukraine again, which I don't know why they do that, but this is just so weird.
It's crazy though. Like even like, my parents were like, "Wait, what's happened?" Yeah, because it was on CNN. It was on a lot of news channels. Just like, "Hey, look, there's a coup, coup in Russia. Did it finally happen? War over? Huh?"
Charges against Wagner warlord have been dropped.
Yeah, no, I think he gets immunity. If I remember, yeah, it's just fucking Jamal Khashoggi, Saudi Arabia
June
moment.
26th.
You know?
No, this was today. Russian criminal case against Wagner. I don't.
Wagner
Yevgeny Prigozhin
yeah.
remains open in spite of the agreement found with the Kremlin that would allow a renegade to avoid prosecution for the leading mutiny. Yeah, no.
Yeah, for being a fucking mutiny.
So he might actually still get assassinated.
I guess, what, did they pull a switcheroo on him? They're like, we'll let you leave the country, but KGB's after you. You know, like, we'll give you a 500-yard head start, all right? You'll get on the boat, and we'll see you later. We'll see you next week.
Belarus is a friendly Russian country, so they definitely have, what was it, the FSB?
Mm-hmm.
They probably definitely have FSB there for sure.
It's not a country where they'll defend them from getting exported. You know, it's not like Edward Snowden leaving to Russia or trying to leave to the South America where they won't export you to the U.S. Like, Belarus is probably going to export him back to the Moscow to get tortured.
Or at the very least, they're going to enable FSB agents to carry out whatever their business are going to do.
Probably in cooperation.
Yeah. But yeah, it is crazy though that a man can lead essentially an armed rebellion and then walk.
He was marching into like a southern city in Russia,
Rostov.
Like imagine that happening in the U.S.
You know what? Let's
where Blackwater went into like Atlanta and was like, "Hey, we're here and we want to screw you over. Take out your Secretary of Defense. and make us part of your military, and we want to have a bigger say. Like, it's just so. The only thing you get close to in American politics to this is if a company uses its monetary might to get people in and out as politicians. But that's like monetary wheeling and dealing. You're paying for people's elections. You're paying for the campaigns.
This is Rostov?
But this is
Did I get that?
this is
right?
another level where you're actually bringing in. I'm not sure. Bringing in tanks, like military might. I don't see this ever happening in America, and I didn't think I'd see that happen in Russia.
Yeah, it is. It is apparently. Okay, yeah, no, and this is by Mariupol, which I found, and Donetsk, which I find interesting. They were areas that fell pretty quickly in the war. Interesting. It's one of those things where I can't understand the. There's only one reason I can think of for why Wagner would do this. It is not a reason I find likely. It is he doesn't want, because for a lot of these oligarchs, their company, their wealth is their source of power in Russia. And I'm pretty sure that his source of power is more or less tied to his mercenary force.
Yeah.
So if they get grounded up in they got grounded up in Bakhmut. Yeah.
So he thought, like, well, I'm just going into the fucking furnace.
I'm just losing my men. I'm losing power.
And the more men you lose, the less power you have.
So maybe this was a ploy to keep whatever little power he has.
And it's like, hey, if this keeps going, my company's gone. Like, we don't have any more burgers to sell at McDonald's, sir. Like,
they're out of prisoners.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So